Hello everybody, my name is Paul McKeever, and this is my new guitar build. All right, well, we're off to the next part of the partscaster, or what I'm calling in provisional terms, the Freedomcaster guitar build. The next part, or the next step in doing this, is going to be to install a tremolo system. However, the tremolo system I purchased, the Vega Trim, does not come with the part that connects the trem system to the body of the guitar, nor did the guitar come with it. I'm talking about what's called a claw that holds the springs against the guitar. So I looked around, I ordered one that I think might be best for the project. You can get them as cheaply as maybe $6 or $9 American dollars. This one was a little bit more. I purchased what was called a tone claw. You can see it, there you go. It's a bit heavier. I think it's about 4 times heavier than a normal claw, except that the claws aren't normally heavy to begin with. So, I mean, they're just a thin piece of tin that's sort of cut and bent. This is more of a forged steel or something. But the advantage of this one is that it allows the springs to be locked into place so that if they go slack, they won't fall off the forks. I don't know if that ever happens, if they ever come off, but I could foresee if, for example, you were really pulling back on the whammy bar, which with this particular trem system, the Vega Trim, apparently there's a good capacity for doing that. In other words, there's a good swing. And so I thought, what the heck, let's give this a whirl. At worst, I'll have an extra claw hanging around and I can buy another one. So let's go through the process of first installing the claw, which has to be in there before you can put any kind of trem system in. And that means we have to bring out the body. And I'm going to show you the body. I'm going to show you one thing that I was concerned about before I had a close look at the body. So let's just switch to that. All right, so this is the back of the guitar. And the tone claw, this device here, is going to be affixed in this channel that's in the back of the guitar. So it'll fit in there by 2 screws that will go in here and hold it in place. The springs will then come off. I'm just going to zoom in. Maybe a bit more. If we can get this centered for you. There we go. So we're going to be screwing the tone claw into the guitar. Here, there will be some distance between the guitar body and the tone claw because you'll want to either tighten or loosen the springs within this cavity. The question that arose for me was, well, how am I going to screw this device? Here's the 2 holes. How am I going to screw that device into that guitar? I first have to have some guide holes here. Where am I going to put them? And how am I going to make them perfectly parallel to the body so that they're straight in and not, for example, I'll just do it this way. They're going to be straight in as opposed to being on some kind of curve, okay? You don't want them tilted up or tilted down. If you put a drill into the cavity here, the drill body is going to be fairly large, and that's going to tip the drill bit so that when you're drilling, you're going down and in to the guitar. So how to avoid that, I was wondering. I looked at some videos. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any that dealt with that problem, although I think I do have a solution. Some Dremel kits come with a pen object on the end of a hose, something around the size of this screwdriver, and it allows you, if it's short enough, you would be able to get it in there and drill a much more level hole. Luckily, with this particular brand, I'm going to back out again, with this particular brand of guitar, which is a Warmoth, Warmoth drills the 2 guide holes for you, so you don't have to worry about that at all. All right, so let's put in the tone claw. And just in case you're wondering what comes with the claw, you do get the 2 screws that you need to affix it to the guitar, and you get 4 springs, although my trem system comes with springs, so I'm not going to use the springs that come with the tone claw. I'm just going to use the 2 screws that came with the system. Now it's pretty clear that if you were to try and put these screws in, say like that, they would be on a tilt. So they have to be brought all the way in. And then once they're in the tone claw all the way, they can be screwed in properly into the body, okay? So once we have the screws all the way in, we're going to drop that into the body. And we're going to line up the screws with the holes that have been provided by Warmoth. All right, so I've got them in their respective holes, guide holes, and now I'm just going to gently feed this one in. Feed this one in. With this screwdriver, I am still running into that angle problem. So what I'm going to try and do is get a screwdriver with a narrower handle. All right, so I was able to locate a screwdriver that's small enough to fit into the channel, so that, it's just small enough, so that I can keep the screw good and level as I'm guiding it into the hole that Warmoth provided. Again, I want to make sure that this device pulls all the way back before screwing it in, okay? You'll see that screwdriver just sits within the chamber. So it looks like if you want to put the screws in nice and straight, get that little screwdriver. Make sure the head's the right size, of course, but the little handle screwdriver, they usually come in like a 4-pack. They come with an adapter too, like that. But once you put the adapter on, you're into that same problem with it being too long, too girthy. So you've got to get it as small as possible and just work it so it's level. Which means you have to put a little bit of pressure in with your fingers, but I'm sure you're big people, you can handle it. And once you got it in there, you can probably then use the longer handled screwdriver because you've got the angle correct. All right, so now that I've got the tone claw, the screws in just a bit using the smaller screwdriver, I'm going to take a longer handled screwdriver. I'm going to put a cloth down to protect the finish of the guitar. And because the screws are already in pretty straight, the fact that this is just on a slight downward angle, I don't think it's going to put the screws in on the wrong angle. So just continue the process until, I'm not going to bring it all the way in, remember, because when this thing's properly installed, this piece will not go right up against the body. It will just be somewhere in between, all depending on how tightly we need the springs to be pulling against the trem system. All right, we're going to leave it like that. And that's the tone claw. Oh, I'll just add in one other thing. Since we've got it in that far, I'll just use this spring as an example. This is a spring that will be one of 2 or 3 that go onto this claw system and that will hook onto the trem system when it's in. This part here, this loop, fits onto, you can see this part here is like a little blade, a movable blade, okay? And when those 2 screws are loosened, the blade moves out of the way, the ring can go onto one of those teeth, onto one of those claws, and then it's possible to tighten these 2 screws again, which you'll see pushes the blade this way. And that's what makes this blade pushing against and over top of the loop of the spring makes it so the spring can't get back out of the claw. So if you ever were to really pull back on the whammy bar and really tighten the strings, but that would loosen these springs at the back. They would compress. I'm not quite sure whether they could ever compress so much that they could actually fall off of a regular claw. I guess it depends on how you set it up, but this way for certain, it wouldn't be falling off of any of these posts as long as you got it locked in. So perhaps a bonus of the tone claw.